You have one more prediction. There has been an extreme trend, in my opinion, of the US economy and US government evolving into basically a fascist economy. And I don't mean fascist in like the kind of like political drum beating fashion where it's used on TV where everyone's just calling Republicans fascists or Democrats fascists or whatever. I mean it in the true original sense of the word in basically
Which is what, like, nationalist?
yeah, like government directed capitalism, basically. And you started seeing this already in late 2025 when the US government started taking direct stakes in publicly traded companies. You saw this with MP Materials, right? MP Materials is the only rare earth producer in the US. And obviously, 99.99.9999999% of all rare earths are owned by China, and this is like the only thing in the US that actually has the capability of processing rare earths. So clearly of insane strategic importance. US government took a stake in it. Intel as well. Intel does advanced packaging. It's like the only thing we have that's even in the same stratosphere as TSMC. US government took a stake in it. Beyond that, there's other types of deals that are being done even beyond just direct ownership. Nvidia wanted to export their chips outside of the US to Asian nations a couple months ago, and they basically made up this thing called an export license that they had to apply for, and as part of this export license, like 20% of the top line revenue of Nvidia would have had to go to the US government. And then yeah, as Mike said, even more recently, we're seeing examples of this literally yesterday where all of a sudden now Blackstone and other institutions are not allowed to purchase single family homes in the US anymore. Com- Defense companies are not allowed to pay senior executives over $5 million or do stock buybacks or do dividends unless they're also investing in growth in the US. Policies that you would never expect to be possible all of a sudden are. It doesn't really matter whether or not it's allowed on paper or not. Like they're just going to try to do it. The Department of Defense, now named obviously Department of War, was originating loans for AI companies a couple months ago. I didn't know that the Department of Defense was allowed to originate loans. I don't think but they're just doing it, right? So this trend will continue. I think there's a ton of money to be made as an investor by picking out the companies in advance that you think are going to be nationalized.
I 100% agree. This is something like Brian has been so early to, and if the government is picking stocks, you can't just buy the ETF anymore. I actually think the ETF will give like N% returns, but that won't pass inflation, right? Where it's okay, say a government's in the markets, so the market is actually giving you 15% a year every year now, and everybody thinks, oh, I just buy the ETFs and I chill. But inflation is like actually at 20%. So what you needed to do was buy the government like blessed companies that are up 70%, 300%, right? Like the only way to like actually survive economically and like outpace is like you have to be a stock picker, like for better or worse. And that's because I 100% agree with everything Brian said. And so I think this is just like an interesting conclusion from that. Is like, you have to be a stock picker.